Hey, what's up, everybody? Um, we're, we're in shock right now because,
Yeah, well,
well,
I'm having a good old time seeing your reaction to that, and I really wish we could do reaction videos to this.
I know, um, so he's not in shock because he saw this, what, like 3 years ago?
Yeah, something like that. You're a little late to the game.
Yeah, but still, it was still awesome. And, this video is going to be very weird just because, we're just going to be, like, so emotional talking about this stuff,
Yeah.
so,
Oh man, this was an amazing episode,
yeah.
and
Um,
it's like this changes everything.
yeah. So, and there's a reason it has to be its own video because you told me that, and I'm like, let's see what happens. Yeah, there's a reason this has to be its own video because we
I feel
couldn't
like there's
do.
a few reasons, and but like the first 5 minutes are like, yeah, okay, in and of
Yeah,
itself.
like the first five. Like if we did 14 and 15, I said in the when we were watching it, we would have been doing like a 3 hour video.
Oh
Like,
God, like geez, we yeah. So it's
um,
a good thing we're doing this as a standalone review.
yeah,
But
this
anyway, this is Breaking Bad, season 5, episode 14,
what
called
episode,
Ozymandias.
and it came out on September 15th, 2013. So we're getting towards the end.
Yeah, I actually explained this to him because he's an uncultured swine. But
Yeah, apparently.
Ozymandias is a reference to the king Ozymandias and how his empire got ruined, and the poem and all that stuff.
They actually talk about that too on Wikipedia. So Wikipedia's got you covered for that. But I didn't even need Wikipedia. I had you. So,
Yeah,
um,
I'm better than the internet.
yep. So the episode starts off showing footage from the past when Walt and Jesse. I think this was supposed to be the first cook. Um,
It was
like
one
right
of the first,
afterwards.
definitely.
Yeah. Um, Now, because it had been like a while since I had seen this, I did ask, what did they air this scene like originally, or is this like something that they what we're just seeing now? Because I wasn't sure if it was like a callback or something like they were re-airing this.
We
So
had definitely not seen this scene before, but whether it was shot back then or now, or
I
put
actually
out,
I did my research because Wikipedia. Thank you, Wikipedia helped us with this one. So this this was actually the final Breaking Bad like scene they ever filmed. Um
really? Wow.
yeah, it was this scene right here. Like obviously it's not the last because obviously I guess
Not
sometimes
the last scene in the show, but like last scene they filmed. Wow,
yeah,
that's
because
kind of
they
sad, you know, like filming. I'm not gonna say what happens, but like filming everything that like all the finale stuff, and then like the final scene you shoot is like the very beginning. That's a little sad.
yeah, because they wanted to wait for Bryan Cranston's hair to go back and Aaron Paul's hair to grow. Because yeah, can you imagine, by the way, like, oh yeah, let's just shoot, guys, quick, shoot this scene now with no hair. Yeah, it makes sense. And then
Yeah,
Bryan
yeah.
Cranston,
Because I even pointed out like Aaron looks like he does like now, but like he also had like the hair
yeah.
back then.
But we won't go into detail about it. But
Because he
this
was a
was,
lot skinnier back then, and like now he's like a bit more built.
yeah. Um, we won't go into like complete detail about it, but pretty much this was kind of a callback to after Walt and Jesse do like one of their first cooks.
Yeah,
I think it was the first one because Walt asked like, "How do we proceed now?" So I think it's like the first one.
yeah. Jesse was just goofing off in the background. Walt
Yeah,
called Skylar, and they had a nice conversation about naming the daughter Holly, which of course they did.
yeah,
And it was
uh,
just kind of be like a simpler, you know, it kind of show like how things were back then, and it was like a simpler time. You know, they were
and
happy as they could be.
yeah, and it is kind of nice to watch this scene back now because of everything because of how Jesse is now, how Walter is now, and you know, um, and
Yeah,
the
how
this
screwed
doesn't
up everything got.
yeah, and this doesn't sound as important, you know, right now, but like before it goes to the intro, like Walter like fades away and the V fades away and Jesse fades away, and that's a tie
I
into like the
forgot
whole.
about that scene. I was like, did Walt never exist to begin with? Was he just like a part of Jesse's imagination?
That would be like the worst way to end this show.
Oh,
Um,
I think that'd be the best way.
but
This was
yeah,
all one of Jesse's drug trips.
oh my gosh. Um, and he's just and then it like cuts back to like class, like no, this is all like a daydream,
And Jesse's like in Walter's class, chemistry.
and Walter's just like, Jesse, are you paying attention? And he's like all horrified, like because of who he pictures like Walter White being in his class,
Yeah.
like when he.
Oh my god, that what? Best way to end the show, really. Anyway, so
But yeah, that ties in though, like, but that those fade-ins tie into this episode though, so.
Yeah, and like the whole situation ties into the title. Ozymandias. Basically, Walt's life just got ruined in this episode.
Yeah. So it cuts back.
Arrogant. Now his ego is what screwed him over in the end.
Mm-hmm. So it cuts back, to kind of, because also too, I think they didn't want to shoot like the beginning scene, like what, the first like 5 minutes after the intro, because they wouldn't have been able to fit it all in right before the intro. So,
right. Plus, it's like build more suspense. Like, what happened?
Yeah. So Jack, Todd, and all his other henchmen. This was right after they have like the big standoff and everything.
Yeah, we don't really see the shootout, but like it was 2v5, so we can kind of assume how it went down.
Yeah. So Gomez dies. Favorite character.
My favorite character.
Yeah.
It was Lucy's favorite character. Ain't that right, Lucy Lou?
Can't see you.
Right. My dog. Eventually, if I can turn my camera.
I still can't see
you. Oh well. Oh my god. There she is. There's my dog.
There you go.
There we go. Lucy's favorite character was Gomez. Anyway, sorry about that going
on. And when they walk over, Jesse's not in the car. We don't know where he is.
Yeah.
Hank was shot and he's like bleeding out, and he's
well, shot like, in the leg. It wasn't like bleeding out.
Yeah. But basically, Hank's just screwed at this point. So,
he tries to crawl to a gun, but Jack steps on it and standing over him.
Yeah, and Walt like begs him not to kill Hank. He offers him, all of his money.
Yeah, he tries to negotiate, saying Hank won't tell anyone. Hank is not even like trying to preserve his own life. He's just like, the cavalry's coming. Yeah, and I'm gonna take you guys down.
And I thought that kind of showed a lot about Hank's character. Like, even though like he was screwed, like it was gonna cost him his life, he was just too prideful. And
because as he says to Walt, he made up his mind 10 minutes ago. He knew he wasn't getting out of there.
Yeah. And finally, not Jack. No, yeah, Jack kills Hank. He just shoots him in the head. We don't actually see like Hank himself get shot. We
sentence too. Hank was just like, "Do what you gotta do," and then he blew his head off.
Yeah. And
your face during that was awesome.
Yeah. I don't think I was, I feel like I wasn't in much shock though, because you kind of knew it was coming, but it was still awesome.
Right. Like they definitely build up. Like, there's no way Hank's getting out of here.
Yeah. And this was kind of a callback to like the end of season 4 almost, when it showed the flashback of Gus's partner getting killed, and Walt had like the same reaction pretty much, like on the ground and stuff like that. So I thought that was just awesome.
Yeah, it was like great parallel showing them at their they were both at their lowest.
Yeah, and it was just Hank dying was like one of that's probably going to be like that up until this point has to be the most like saddest breaking. I think it is the most saddest Breaking Bad like character death actually. I think the only one that like really topped it is Mike, but Hank was someone we had seen since the beginning and stuff like that, and it just really is like even more sad because he finally catches Eisenberg and he dies at the end.
I know, right?
So
he was victorious for a few minutes.
Yeah. And
I was right. The Walter White scene is a parallel to the Gus thing, like you said, but it's also parallel to Ozymandias, like a statue in the ground.
Yep. And then also too at this point, Walt gave away where his money was, which we thought was going to be a bad thing because if Hank did survive this, it would have screwed him over even then. Like, Yeah. So I think
Jack didn't even know about the money being up there, but once Walt offered it to him, And
Yeah.
like Walt gave him very specific coordinates. So
Uh-huh.
Jack was able to put two and two together that like, okay, so this is where you buried your money. So
Yeah.
they basically steal Walt's money.
Except he's allowed. They leave one barrel for him.
Yeah, which is roughly 10 million.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
But
because they don't want Walt getting captured because he could rat on them.
Which, and they shake hands. But this was very sad
And Walt
too.
really doesn't want to. Like
Yeah.
Walt really hates Jack, but like.
Yeah. I feel like too, like Walt is just kind of like in shock, like distraught in a way too. So, and they also bury Hank and Gomez's bodies, so no one will find them too. So, but this was a very like sad scene too, because like everything Walt worked for since like the beginning of the series and stuff just was gone in an instant.
His brother was dead, money's gone.
Yeah. Now we can ask the what if though, because now I know what happens. What if Jack and his men didn't show up?
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Or
what if they got there late?
Yeah. And then they don't know what Pinkman is. They try to find him because Walt still wants Jesse executed. I feel like he kind of wants it more in a way, because it's kind of Jesse. He feels like it's Jesse's fault that like his brother-in-law kind of died in a way and stuff too. Yeah. Like
before it was like he wants Jesse gone because he could hurt his family, and now it's like he's not a threat anymore, but he still wants him dead.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely more out of like hate now.
Yeah.
I think
and we find out that Jesse like hid underneath the car, so they didn't really look too hard. So great looking, guys, but
I know,
good
right?
job.
Well, it's like, hey guys, found him like
yeah.
super easily.
Yeah. And they're about to execute him, and Todd's kind of like, wait, he knows a lot of information, and we need to know what he told, because Jack and Todd like don't know that like he didn't, like they think like the whole DEA knows, because
right. He doesn't know just Hank was the person who knew.
Yeah. So they offer pretty much to go torture him to get the information out of him, but I think we found out later the real motives behind it, obviously. So and Jesse's like struggling because he doesn't want to get like kidnapped and stuff,
but they're like, don't worry, we'll kill him later.
Yeah. Before they leave, Walt says to Jesse, I watched Jane die and could have done something about it, but didn't do anything. And that's like when Jesse like stopped struggling and everything. Like
he just like resigned himself.
Yeah, which really makes Walt look like a piece of shit even more. Yeah. Like
actually, I'm pretty sure Vince Gilligan, the creator, he said that he believes that this was like the most evil thing Walt ever did. Because there's no reason behind it. He just did it out of spite and make Jesse suffer.
Yeah. I don't know though. What he does later on in the episode's kind of evil too, though. So.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's just his opinion,
Yeah. And
it's not really a scale for what's evil and what's
not. Then Walt takes like the barrel and leaves, and at this point we saw no credits or nothing, like the actors or anything. Like I read online they had to ask permission for like AMC to do this, and I guess AMC said yes because like they said Breaking Bad pretty much had AMC and just owned them at this point, because Breaking Bad probably went, yeah, we could just go to a different TV station and you'll lose all your ratings.
Breaking Bad was like one of the biggest shows in America at the time. So it's like,
yeah. So this was like Breaking Bad, and Breaking Bad at AMC by like on a collar like they were dogs on a leash. So
which is pretty great. But I mean, they do show the credits, but it was after all that stuff.
But I like how it says they had to ask permission. Like there was no asking. Breaking Bad was just like, yeah, we're doing this, so we're gonna go somewhere else. So, but then, because of the gunfight, the car that Walt was driving runs out of gas. Well, doesn't really run out of gas. The gas gets all released out of it. So
yeah, there was a leak because of a stray bullet.
Yeah.
So Walt is. I was even saying like, man, this is easily the worst thing that's happened to Walt today. Walt needs to roll his barrel of money through the desert, and eventually comes across a Native American, because they're on a reservation.
And I believe I have the song right here. The song that plays like as Walt's rolling his barrel down was "Take My True Love" by The Hand, by the Limit, and I can't pronounce the name, but the Lime Litters, which but I don't know. I believe that's the name of the song because that's the only song that plays this whole episode. But that song like really fit like the situation that Walt was going through because he just pretty much lost everything. He lost his money and he lost his brother-in-law. So, but yeah, he buys the Indians' truck, and leaves. And there's more though. That wasn't the end. Like me and AJ. Well, I mean, I was wondering like, that was only like the first 15 minutes. How is this episode gonna like end? So
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I actually read online too. Like
most shows would put that as like the finale of like a season.
I actually read it online, like Hank was supposed to die at the end of the last episode, but they wanted to push it up here because I thought it was better paced to put it here. So
yeah, which is pretty, like that matches like the tone of the rest of this episode.
Yeah. Because I feel like if you had to wait, like having that, having Hank's death at the end of the last episode this episode wouldn't really feel as big. Like it still is pretty big, but I feel like Hank's episode here feels bigger. So. Back at the car wash, Marie comes over to Skylar pretty much to like kind of gloat in a way.
No, I wouldn't really say gloat. She's just like telling her the facts that like Hank has arrested Walt as far as she knew.
Kind of watching this though. Watching, we will say this before we break down any of these scenes. Watching this scene is kind of sad when you if you probably watched this before you knew Hank, that like if you just went and watched this scene first and then you wouldn't know, and you probably would feel differently. Like
dramatic irony. It's like we know the audience knows something the characters don't.
Yeah, so Marie pretty much realizes like we're family, and she doesn't think like Skylar's all bad because she clearly knew like Walt was dangerous because. She had the kids live with her for like a couple months, so she clearly knows like Skylar knew what Walt was doing was wrong, but she didn't really help like the situation and stuff. But she feels like we talk about, there's still hope for Skylar in a way. So, they'll let bygones kind of be bygones in a way, because I don't really,
she's still our sister.
There's really like even like we're just gonna pretend though, like well, we're just gonna kind of talk about that. Even there's really like no way to kind of move past this. Like I know everyone says, "Oh, you can move past anything." This is kind of a hard situation to move past.
Yeah.
Like
kind of helped Walt like do a lot of bad things.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like she's probably not even aware of like most of Walt's bad things too in a way. So like if she doesn't know. He poisoned, a little kid. But it's besides the point. So she wants all like the copies of the DVD that like Walt and Skylar made, framing Hank for this, and she also wants her to tell Walter Jr. or Flynn. I don't know what we're gonna call him in this episode. We can call him whatever we want, but
I feel like this is the last time we can call him Walter Jr.
Yeah.
After
and pretty much tell them the truth. And actually, I think we jumped.
Tyler doesn't want to, but like Marie makes her like.
Yeah.
It's either this or a bunch of cops are gonna tell him.
Yeah, and he'll obviously like see it on the news and stuff too. Yeah. So.
I feel like the cops would tell the family first.
Yeah. I just realized too we jumped the shock because I think like this stuff happens like before, but like I said, this is such a great. Yeah, because we weren't supposed to talk about this yet until Walt drove away and stuff. But you know what? We messed up. So, I mean, whatever.
Talk about what?
Because like when Walt gets on the truck, when Walt leaves like the reservation, that doesn't happen until after this scene. But whatever.
It doesn't really matter. This happens at the same time.
Yeah. So, Walter Jr. is like in shock about this. And he's distraught. He acts like, typically a way you would if, you know, a kid would find out that his father's like this criminal, and
his mom knew about it and didn't say anything.
Yeah, so he's upset about that. And I like the way he acted because, like I said, that's like the way somebody would react if you found out your dad was like a big criminal and stuff like that. So, and he tries to call Hank, but he doesn't pick up, and they just think at first, Hank doesn't pick up because he's like dealing with the Walt and stuff like that. So.
Oh, hey, I just found something on Google. I thought it was interesting. That scene where Walt's pushing his barrel through the desert. There's a shot where Walt's pants from the first episode are there.
That's interesting.
Yeah, like that flew off the RV when they were driving away.
Yeah.
Walt was reunited with his pants for a second.
You should have picked him up.
Yeah, I know, should have.
And
sorry about that. That was just a cool thing I looked up. Anyway.
So then Skyler and Walter Jr. come back, and they don't realize that that Walt's back because they don't recognize the truck because this is the first time they're seeing it. So when they see Walt's there, Walt's telling them, basically, go pack your stuff. We're leaving. We're gonna start new identities.
And he's being like super frantic, like saying like I'll explain later. He's getting all mad.
Yeah. I said I'd let you talk about this scene. So
Skyler is confused by Walter Jr. is confused because, as far as he knew, like he doesn't even know what's happening. He's like, "Dad, are you a drug dealer? Like, what's happening?"
Yeah.
Skyler's confused because she thought Hank arrested him. Walter's kind of dodging all the questions, and then Skyler eventually asks, "What happened to Hank?"
Yeah.
And Walt doesn't want to talk about it, and like eventually that leads her to think that Walt is the one who killed Hank. And I mean, indirectly, but like, she thinks like Walt just full on murdered him.
Yeah.
So she eventually pushes Walter Jr. away and like threatens Walt with a knife and slashes his hand. They get into a scuffle, and Walt Jr. actually sides with Skyler, kind of like mending their relationship because, the whole series he's been defending his dad and going against his mom. This was like him finally realizing his dad's a monster.
I like that too. I was thinking about that too. Like, and we talk about how much we hate Skyler's, like, I feel like this season made up a lot for Skyler's character too, because her character was pretty unlikable, like, throughout the series. I feel like too, because now Walt's becoming kind of so unlikable that,
it makes her more likable in comparison,
Yeah. But him, like, finally siding with Skyler, like, I think, like I said, it's like closure with that, and
like, clearly still have like issues because she did lie to him all this time.
But I feel like the relationship's like mending in a way. So
Walter Jr. calls the police. So Walt quickly runs out of the house, takes Holly, and drives away. Skyler is like devastated because that Walt took her baby.
Yeah, and then before we break down this, we probably should have broken
It was a really sad scene. Like,
it
was kind of Walt has said he's doing this for his family this entire time, but that whole scene just kind of proves that isn't true.
Yeah, like Walt's doing this more like for him and stuff like that. And this has got to be like one of the most evil things that Walt's done, like kidnapping like a infant baby.
His baby.
Yeah, I mean, and like putting her like in a dangerous situation like that. I think in his mind, he tries to make up for it later, but I don't really think he did. But but we probably should have talked about the Jesse scene first because that doesn't tie up with it.
Jesse scene happens after this, so
yeah. So I'll talk about that. So Jesse wakes up and he's like chained to like the wall, and we clearly see like Jack, Todd, and everybody like beating the crap out of him because he's got like his face is all beat up and he's got like almost like his eyes like shut. So
Yeah, he's got like scratch marks on him, so like they whipped him. I'm assuming, and like tortured him.
And Todd comes up and he lets him out, and he thinks he's gonna get like tortured even more. So he's like begging,
crying, like please, please, I told you everything. I told you everything.
But what he actually does is he takes his handcuffs on and like change him to like a hook, and basically they're gonna make him the meth slave, pretty much, which makes sense because he knows Walter's formula. Not probably as Jesse's meth probably isn't as good as Walt's.
It's pretty close. Like they're both in the 90s.
But having Jesse's like the next best thing to having Walt right now. So, and like, basically they imply, because they like took a picture of Andrea and Brock, that like they'll murder them if Jesse doesn't do what they want. Because because that's basically like what we're supposed to be thinking. Or either murder or like hurt, like physically hurt them in some way.
And Todd's a creepy motherfucker, by the way. I just want to point that out.
So, we talked about how Gus wanted to make Jesse his meth slave, and
maybe or at least it was implied.
Yeah, maybe that was true. Yeah, maybe that was true, but he had a this makes, and I can't believe we're saying this. This makes Gus actually not look like as much of a monster as they are right now. Like,
because it's like Gus was like wanted Jesse to cook willingly. Like he went really out of his way to get Jesse on his good side, and like if he really wanted to, he could have just chained Jesse up and killed Walt like he wanted.
Yeah.
But he was willing to like not kill Walt and have Jesse do this willingly.
Exactly.
But Jack and his gang, they tortured him and chained him to the lab, saying, "All right, well, you got to cook now." So it kind of shows that like this was Gus's last resort, and he would have put Jesse in like much better like conditions. Like he probably would have been fed good, and he wouldn't have been hurt or anything. Here, Jack and his gang are just savages.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, there's that. Can you speak again? Because you're frozen on my screen, and
am I?
Oh.
Sorry, you just weren't talking for a while, and I was like, "Are you all right?" Hello. Hey,
well, I was just letting you talk. That's why. So, I'll take a look. Skype, don't ruin this. I'll mark this down a letter grade if you ruin this Skype.
Hey, Breaking Bad doesn't deserve that. We'll give Skype a bad letter grade. How about that?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
So you're fine now. You're like freezing off and on. So.
Okay. Well, that's fine.
Let me switch Wi-Fi's.
F- by the way, for a letter grade. Technical difficulties, guys. Sorry about that.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Still recording. Says poor connection, but you're moving and stuff, so But I really like this scene though with Jesse because it was like this, like I watch a lot of horror movies, and this was like a scene like out of a horror movie you would have seen right here.
Todd's just a creepy freaking guy.
Yeah. And this makes us, kind of gives us answers like where Jesse kind of was, like why he wasn't with Walt in the opening scene of this season in a way. So, then what happens is, Walter's changing Holly's diaper in the bathroom, and she's saying "Mama," and won't even like look at Walt. And I feel like this kind of, is like kind of shows how big of a monster Walt is in a way, because typically babies, they say, have like a really good judge of character. They can tell like if someone's like a really bad person, and I feel like this kind of shows that in a way, like Holly not wanting to look at Walt. And I actually read online like when Holly said "Mama," it wasn't like in the script or anything. Like Bryan Cranston like improvised,
Wow,
and just kind of
awesome.
went with it.
I didn't know that.
So in a way, this was kind of like, by accident that like she said, "Mama, can you imagine if that scene didn't happen? Like this
That
scene."
would make that made this scene 10 times sadder. So great job, Holly. You deserve an award for being
Yeah. I don't think she can get an award though because she's too young. So what would her speech be like?
Mama.
I guess
The one word
so,
she can say.
yeah.
So yeah, Walt is sad and realizing what he did. He hugs her.
Yeah. So
He calls Skylar.
yeah.
Police are there at the house.
Yeah. And
he basically confesses to everything, but he also paints himself to be more evil than he is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he paints himself to like saying like he threatened to kill her if she said anything.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and Skylar kind of picked it up after a while that like, yeah, Walt is trying to make it seem like she's more innocent and like she was just going along with it.
Uh-huh.
Like they wouldn't arrest Skylar and like making himself the bad guy.
Which, you could make the argument like is protecting. And basically this is like when it comes out like Hank, like this is like when I think Marie finds out that Hank is dead because Walt says it here.
Well, he says,
maybe
or you won't see Hank again.
Yeah, so basically
and like he was crying when he said that, so it definitely hurt him to like basically have his family think he killed their uncle.
And I was gonna make a joke like, obviously they think he's dead, like he's not going out on vacations or anything like that after he killed
Hank thanked his death so he could appear in a negotiator.
Yeah, even though that was years earlier, but okay.
Hey, timeline, you never know.
Yeah.
Could have been a sequel.
What sucks for Dean Norris too. Like he almost died by Samuel L. Jackson, and now he died by kind of inadvertently by Brian. Two great actors tried to kill Hank. So
whatever Jack's actor's name, he got killed by him.
Yeah. So
also,
then
Gomez, my favorite character.
Yeah. So then
remember
Walt,
that time
Yeah. So then Walt realizes what he's doing is wrong with Holly, so he just sends her to the fire station.
Well, he puts her in the fire truck and sets off the siren, so the fireman comes out and sees the baby in there, and he taped the address to her.
Yeah. So and then he used Saul's guy, and now he has a new identity. So now so now that explains obviously what the scene we saw in the very beginning of the show. The only thing we don't know though, and I was thinking about this, I mean obviously was what makes Walt go back to what because obviously there's something that made him go back, obviously. So
back to Albuquerque.
Yeah, we don't know what it is. So
he's clearly planning something because he has the gun and the ricin. So
So something something next, either the next episode or the episode after that, will explain why you went back to Albuquerque.
So this is basically the darkest point for everyone. Walt is on the run. Jesse's a mess slave.
Mm-hmm.
The white family's in ruins. Hank is dead. The only one who's really winning here is Jack and his gang.
Yeah. So
Lydia, I guess.
Yeah, we don't know what Lydia's doing right now, though. So, but this episode was fantastic.
A+ easily.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give Skype, really a bad letter grade because
Skype gets an F. Easily.
Yeah, get your shit together, Skype. Really,
Look, all you're doing is connecting two people hundreds of miles away. Come on, it's not that hard.
Yeah, but this episode was just fantastic, and a lot and it explains the end, why the beginning part of the season happens. It just has your emotions all that tied up and stuff like that. You get sad in the beginning, and then you're you're shocked. I think it's sad too because this scene pretty like if you didn't know like the Breaking Bad was ending, like you would definitely know it with this episode.
Yeah. And
Because
I feel like this whole episode makes you hopeless.
yeah, like these characters have like, and this is like the most hopeless like I think that these characters have ever been because with Gus's situation, it was really only on Walter and like Jesse's side. Now every character like on this show is hopeless. Maybe Hank a little bit with the Gus situation.
Well, Hank is definitely he's feeling something.
Yeah, he's not feeling it.
In his head.
Yeah, so this episode was A plus. Not a bad thing about it. So
Better Call Gomez when 2020.
Yeah. Still kind of I still wish Hank would get a spin-off show. Now
yeah, that's cool. Although
like
Better Call Saul is still pretty good, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah. But Hank getting his own spin-off show I think would have been awesome too. Like, obviously you could do the same thing with Hank that you did with Saul, you show it like 6 years into the future or something.
Or past,
something like that. You probably you probably can't do it. It probably has to be pre getting married to Walt because I
feel like Walt could be in the show.
Just he wouldn't be like as a big
pre Heisenberg.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. And he wouldn't even Walt wouldn't even have to like be that big of a character in the show too. He could like be in it every once in a while.
Kind of like Marie or Skylar or something.
Yeah, it would be. I feel like though that'd be tough because it'd be weird to kind of see like Walt, like
it'd be a bit of like a tragedy, knowing what happens to them.
Yeah, so
it's like watching the Star Wars prequels. Like he becomes Darth Vader, but like you just gotta let it play out.
But yeah, we're just rambling now as we always do. So
beginning and end are usually ramble fests. So.
Yeah. So why else would
we're gonna watch 15, and he's gonna be like, "Oh my god." And then we're gonna make him wait to watch the finale. So.
And it's like I said, it's worse for me because I can easily watch it. And
It's not even like you gotta wait. You can have it, but you can't watch it yet.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people get like they can easily watch it, but like then they have to go to work or school or something like that. Like it's not like you don't have it at your access, and you're like, I feel like that's why a lot of people like Netflix. When they Netflix the stuff, can't wait sometimes.
Yeah, binge watch it.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys then. Want to plug anything besides I got my YouTube channel, AJ Talent.
CM Brothers will be starting the Death Note up reviews on there again. On the Talkinator, finishing Breaking Bad, and then we're gonna just do a channel update video. Like I think like the day after we like finish Breaking Bad or something, which is gonna be very soon. We're gonna
probably day after tomorrow actually, or like day after that.
It's gonna be sometime like very soon. We're gonna do a channel update video, so be on the lookout for that type of stuff. So that's pretty much it, guys, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.